So I initially heard this listening to the Sportsnet 650 post-game show after Game 5 in Vancouver. I was on my way to Osmos, I needed some late-night shawarma, and whilst on my drive there and back, I heard this segment shared between Satyr Shah, I believe it was Big Nazar, and Ian McIntyre. Or maybe it wasn't Big, maybe it was Randeep, I'm not too sure. I can't really tell the voices on air, honestly. I can only tell Sats and McIntyre's, but other than that, I did hear this initially on the drive home, and I thought it was an amazing, amazing thing. Shortly after this Game 5 post-game show, we had ourselves an article published by Ian McIntyre going over the same points, and this is a great opportunity, I feel, for us to make a video about it, talk about the impact of this particular player and what other value he brings to the team rather than just his on-ice play. But before we go over to that, let's talk about the elephant in the room, I guess. When it comes to the Canucks, we had ourselves this image making the rounds on Canucks Twitter because, Ian McIntyre first tweeted this out, saying, "I'm not sure what JT Miller is wearing before practice in Nashville, but I don't think it matters. He's trying to ease tension." And you can see in the image, he's wearing some sort of a pink, salmon-colored shirt with flowers on it, or is that like teardrops? I don't know, it looks like something out of a Guitar Hero video game. I'm not really too sure what that is. But there were some other tweets, also, talking about the same thing. Drance posted a video of JT Miller skating around in this weird pink shirt. And then we had Dan Murphy tweet out this. So JT Miller took to the ice wearing Arturs Silovs' dress shirt. It's a peach salmon type of thing. Silovs was a little surprised to see it being used as a practice jersey. And Dan Murphy follows up with a Nikita Zadorov quote on Silovs' shirt. I mean, he has to know better. He's not going to a nightclub in Riga. So, seems like this flamboyant, rambunctious kinda shirt that was worn by Silovs was taken as kind of a meme on the team, and it ended up being JT Miller's practice warm-up jersey. We did have some word later on saying that he did change the jersey back to the regular green that he wears once the actual practice session began, but I thought that was funny enough to toss in there because it was the main topic of Vancouver Canucks discourse this morning. But I wanted to go out there and talk about something else. This is the Ian McIntyre thing that was discussed on the radio after Game 5. Let's go over onto IMAC's latest piece on Sportsnet. Canucks lose the hard way in Game 5 as the series shifts back to Nashville. IMAC writes about the Game 5 loss. He introduces the topic about how the Canucks had the lead and then they ultimately let the game go. Winning is hard, but losing can feel even harder. Then here comes a quote from Ian Cole, a veteran, 35 years old. He's played on multiple Stanley Cup caliber teams, and he's won multiple Stanley Cups in the past few years. He's been one of the grizzled vets, one of the more decorated guys, I would say, in the NHL playoffs the past little while. He said this, "Listen, you need to prepare like you're going to play 7 games every single series," Canucks D-man Ian Cole said. "If you play less than that, great. If you finish early, great. But you have to be prepared to play 7 games." And when listening to Ian McIntyre talk about this on the radio, he essentially said that Ian Cole was responding to the idea, oh, so you guys probably don't want to go back to Nashville, right? Like, damn, you had an opportunity to win it in 5 and finish off the series, but now you got to get back on that plane and you got to go across the entire continent. How does that feel? And Cole was like, yeah, no, we have to be prepared to play 7. He then says this, whether we want to get on the plane or not, that's just kind of a prima donna attitude. That's BS. Just go and win the freaking game. Of course, no one wants to fly back across the country, but this is the matchup that we have. If we need to win in 6 games, you win in 6 games. If we win in 7, we win in 7. We just need to win the series. That's all that matters. We win the series, we move on, and then we've got to win the next series. Like, that's all that matters. Whether we do that here, whether we do it in Nashville, whether we do that in 5, 6, or 7 games, it doesn't matter. Just win the series. And this is where you start to realize, yeah, no, this dude knows what he's talking about. This is why playoff veteran experience is important, because not only are you getting guys who have quote-unquote been there before, but guys who literally understand the intricacies and how it feels to be in this journey and know what it takes to persevere and do what you need to do to get the job done. Look, as we talked about, the Canucks in the 2020 bubble, like, it was an entirely different atmosphere, a different experience than what the team is exhibiting now. The main core Vancouver Canucks on this team are players that were in that bubble run, but who hadn't really experienced much of the postseason before. Pettersson, Hughes, and Besser, these guys have never done this before. At least in a capacity like they are in now. Same could be said about Thatcher Demko. Casey DeSmith only had one playoff game played before this. And of course, Arturs Silovs hasn't even played 10 NHL games in the regular season. So this really puts an emphasis on why it's important to have these veteran guys. Bluger won a Stanley Cup last year with the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, Ian Cole is his own Stanley Cup champion. This is a group that kind of needs that leadership. And for Ian Cole himself, I mean, as we had said, 35 years old, iMac goes out there and writes this. In his 10th straight playoff appearance with 7 different teams, and with a pair of Stanley Cup rings, the 35-year-old defenseman knows what he's talking about. In May, winning is the only thing that matters. If you had asked the Canucks 10 days ago if they'd take a quadruple overtime win in Game 7 to advance past the Predators and into the playoff second round, and the road games would be in Nairobi instead of Nashville, they would have said, yeah, thanks, before you could apply the question mark. And so, with Ian Cole, there's a lot more in this article, by the way. Link is in the description if you want to go ahead and read it. I'm really starting to feel that this dude is like one of my favorites on the team. Like, I don't try to get into the nitty-gritty details of, like, my own personal likes and dislikes. I think it's very apparent whom it is that I like based off of whom I make videos about. Like, that's a very obvious connection to make, isn't it? But for Ian Cole, not only is he an absolute brick wall on the ice, not only does he make big hits and he makes good defensive plays and he plays huge minutes, but he's also bringing that leadership. And he's talking about it to the media, and we're hearing about it as fans of the team. As long as the Canucks keep their head on straight, as long as they've got proper guidance from guys who have been there before, who know what they're talking about, and who really give some good advice, this is where the team forms that discipline. And as we've been talking about the entire year, what was the main message about this season supposed to be? It was about discipline. It was Rick Tocchet enforcing this system that was like, hey, you gotta forecheck hard, you gotta backcheck hard, you gotta play with pace, you gotta play with structure, and as the year went on, you know, we saw the team go from a lackadaisical, Bruce Boudreau-esque style to much more disciplined in the span of about a year and a bit. So now that this team is here in the playoffs, it's like, yeah, no, we had a chance to win in 5. Too bad we didn't, but we have to suck it up and go back to Nashville. We have no choice. This is our path, and we're not entitled to anything. I like that he said that, too, like the prima donna attitude. Oh, yeah, we have to go back to Nashville. Like, nah, bro, that's not the right way to think about it. So, heading into game number 6 in Nashville, if history bears repeating, and I don't want to go out there and be too confident in that assessment, but the last time the Canucks played a game 6 in Nashville, they ended up winning. And I saw this parallel, we'll talk about this to end off the video, but if you head over to the 2011 Stanley Cup Playoffs, yeah, of course, it's always about 2011, isn't it? If you head over to the Canucks and Preds series in that second round, you'll find that the Vancouver Canucks won Game 1 in Rogers Arena, the Predators won Game 2 in Rogers Arena, the Canucks won Game 3 in Nashville, they won Game 4 in Nashville, Nashville won Game 5 in Rogers Arena, and then the Canucks won Game 6 in Nashville. This order, and the home teams and the winners and everything, has been exactly the same in 2024 compared to 2011. Canucks win, Predators win, Canucks, Canucks, Predators. So, if Game 6 is a Vancouver win on the road, it would be exactly like we had seen in that 2011 series. So maybe there's some PTSD here for Preds fans and facing the Canucks, who really knows? I mean, you've been down 3-1 before, you were able to claw back and force a Game 6 both times, so yeah, we'll see if there is an end to everything if we have a Game 7 in Rogers Arena, which, look, man, I don't know if people want to go to that. I know, like, tickets for the Canucks playoff games have been expensive, like $300-$400-ish, but, like, yeah, I don't know. If it's a Game 7 and you're already not feeling confident with the team, who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, for me personally, I'm not paying $400 just to sit at the very upper nosebleeds, not really get too much of the play and not have the commentary and the replay, and also not be available near the computer to make a video about it afterwards. So it's profitable for me to stick around at home, but that's your little warning, I guess, for Canucks ticket prices. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Canucks and Preds series and Ian Cole's amazing comments. What are your thoughts about JT Miller wearing Silovs' shirt? I hope you enjoyed this video. TROLLS 99, and bye.